Hello and welcome to today's interview with Marianne Schütze, the founder of the Level Up Society. My name is Sonja Zipser and I've got the honor to speak with Marianne about the topic being a victim and becoming the Level Up Queen. Hello, Marianne.
Hello, Sonja. How are you today?
I am fine and I'm very curious to hear from you how you switched from being a victim and now being that Level Up Queen.
Yes, let's get the interview going. I'm excited as well to share a little bit of my story and what I overcame in this process.
Amazing. So let's get started. Yeah,
Yeah,
so what was the turning point that made you realize you needed to change your mindset and invest in yourself?
I would say that it's really a multitude of a lot of things, but I was looking back from the last 5 years. I think that was when it really began. And I was in a position where I felt very much alone, actually. Very much alone, because back then I was living in a different country and my kids were away all day in school and my husband as well. And I just felt so stuck. I felt so alone with my own thoughts. And I knew that I could not really change that since I have tried for a lot of time. I have read a lot of books and I just came to the conclusion that, I'm just sick and tired of this way of thinking, this way of talking to myself, that I need to really do something different. And I'm a very impatient type. So in that way, that's pretty good that I was like, I cannot deal with this anymore. I need some help from outside, because if I knew how to change it, I would have done it already. So it was like a frustration, and just I was sick and tired of lack of results that I wanted. I had not, progressed the way that I wanted personally and business wise. So that's really the turning point where I decided now it's the time to invest into myself, because I knew that I had to get some help.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. So a lot of women wonder whether they should invest monthly $50 in themselves. You've invested 50,000 in personal development, and so did I. How did that level of investment impact your growth of personal development and your transformation?
Yeah, it has impacted me a lot. And even I would say to this day, probably I'm even on 100,000. But I remember my first $1,000. It felt so challenging, like it felt so wrong, only because I haven't done it before. And I think that's where a lot of women struggle, that they find it wrong, so they stop doing it. But it's just because they haven't done it, because anything you do new, it feels strange, it feels wrong. You're not familiar with that feeling of doing it. But I started off with 1,000. Even I knew that this company also provided other types of courses that I knew that I kind of wanted as well. But I was like, let me start off with 1,000. And then I just got a little sneak peek into this material about mindset. And I was intrigued to understand more about, I can actually change myself, because what I knew back then was that this is who I am. And maybe I can learn to get the best out of that, creation. But now I started discovering I can actually change who I am. I don't have to just find a way to live with who I am. And that was mind blowing to me. So I quickly after that decided I'll invest into the full program. That was a $15,000 investment. And I still remember when I transferred that money, I was shaking and I was like, what are you doing? But for the first time, I would say in many years, I followed my intuition. I followed my heart. I tried to really disconnect with my mind, because it was freaking out of me spending so much money, because I saw it as spending back then. I didn't really
Yes.
see it as an investment.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
So
And I think
that was
there's,
the beginning.
yeah, I think so many women fear the money is gone and I
Yeah,
don't get something in return.
absolutely. But that's the thing, what you give out is what you receive right back. So if you send out a lot of fear and worry and doubt with this money, it will not really benefit you. So you need to make the decision that this will make work. And this was really what I did. I was like, I invested so much money, at least, what I thought back then, so much that I have to make it work. Like, it was embarrassing if no change would happen, because I still was married back then. And remember, he said to me, like, what are you thinking to make such an investment, when your business is not even up and running at the level that you want, because it was in the middle of Corona when I did that. And I just knew that I have to commit myself to something somebody else than myself to make some improvement. So when I put that money down, I knew I will do whatever it takes to, show myself first of all, but then as well other people that this is a great investment. This will, bring some new results, first of all in myself, but also in my business. So that's, for me, worked very much, to commit myself to the change and not just sit and think about it or dream about it, but actually be willing to do it.
Yeah, you just mentioned that your husband said, "Oh, how can you invest so much money or pay so much money?" And I think we have that these comments from the outside, but we also have so much the inner talk. And what was the most challenging part of transitioning from negative self-talk to empowering your inner dialogue?
What I really had to, it felt so wrong in the beginning. It felt so wrong because it was just different. And I had to also unlearn that something feels wrong. It means that it is wrong. I had to understand that it's not the feeling of wrong, it's just the feeling of new. And every, new thing that I do, it will create something new that I have to deal with. And I learned that, there's no comfort in growth. It's something that feels not very nice, but afterwards, you're happy about it. So when I learned more about that, how the mind works and how the body is an instrument of the mind, I started learning to control that fear or worry or doubt that I know a lot of women have as well. As soon as they get started doing something, they're like, it doesn't seem to work, or it feels wrong, or it feels, you can't really be in your feelings. You need to understand how the mind works to overcome that, feedback that you can get to yourself about the feelings. I would say that was one of the biggest things. And of course, I learned as well about affirmations. I learned how to speak something new to myself. So if every day you say to yourself, I'm not sure I can make it happen. Okay, well, that's what you create. So when you start saying, I'm a, extremely successful woman who is just being a role model of this and that, and I earn so much money, it just feels so crazy. But the funny part is that, even it feels crazy, even you don't really believe it, your subconscious mind, it doesn't know the difference between you're lying or you're saying the truth. So the more you can say this information, the more, in a way, you just change and you start wanting to actually do the things that you speak about. And that has to do with self-image as well, that you start really understanding that you have to become somebody else before you can get new results. So it's all about you changing yourself. It's not you trying to change somebody else, which I did for many years, being a victim of my circumstances. I just waited for somebody else to change or somebody else to allow me to do the things that I wanted. I hope they could read my thoughts. So, I had to really understand how the mind works to be able to overcome my own inner dialogue, because that was what I was used to. That was my habit. It was talking not in a very great manner to myself.
Yes, absolutely. And you just mentioned the affirmations, but I guess it's not done by standing in front of the mirror and saying all the time, yeah, I'm pretty, I'm so good, I'm the best, and I'm the level up queen. What did you do? Did you study? Did you practice? What was it, and how did that help you to become that level up queen?
Yeah, that's a really, really good point, because, since we haven't done the things that we need to do, we kind of fear to do them. And we build up all of this fear, and we hope that we can just find a nice way to get it done. We hope to find this whatever way that doesn't really require too much work and too much effort. So we sit and do all these affirmations, and it sounds so great, and we just wish to wake up tomorrow and then, everything changed. But the fact is that you need to act as if you're that person already. You need to put into action what we, can call faith-based action. Because the more you know about the mindset, you know about that you have to do the things before you're ready. Because you're not ready. You can only become somebody by doing something. So you start doing something as if you're that woman. And then, yes, it's uncomfortable, but then you overcome it. And then you realize, hey, now I can, speak about myself. I'm this woman who can do this and that. So it's all about the action. You need to put the action. And it's not just once in a week. It's daily daily action. And we talk a lot about that in the society because it's so easy to applaud yourself for just do something one time. Let's say for 1 year you procrastinated to do something, and then finally you do it, and then you're like, oh my God, I'm the best. But now it's a time where you need to keep doing it because it's not done by just one day you do something. It's a daily commitment. You need to get into that habit.
Yes, and you need to work on everything simultaneously. You have to do the action, you have to work on your mindset, and it all goes together so that you can go in the direction where you want to be and to become that woman. And what would you say was the most important tool or something, what made the biggest difference for you on your journey? And how could other women do that? Because most of the time we see that role model like you are, and we think, okay, yeah, she was able because of that, and no, I can't do that because I don't have that 15,000 or I don't know what.
Yeah.
So we always find excuses.
Exactly. Yeah, I would say for me, like I'm a very logical, fact-oriented person. So when I learned about the mind, I really decided to believe that this is how it works. So I found a new belief that I can change if I just apply these principles. I decided I'll make it work because of course I saw a lot of other students, on this course that they did not make anything work because they kept repeating what I have done previously. I just read a lot of information, but I started really understanding that I need to do the things, because when you think about how many books are out there about personal development, about mindset, it's incredible. And a lot of people have a lot of books like I did, but I really started learning I need to put it into action. And that's why most people are stuck because it doesn't feel very, nice and you are confused about it. So the only thing is to start doing something where you have maybe just a little bit of resistance. You don't want to choose the thing that scares you the most. And then you slowly develop into being a person who is okay with doing new things. And I would say doing new things for me was having a morning routine. That has been the number one thing. Every morning, I just don't read, I actually study. And this means that maybe some days I only read one page because I want to study this information. It's not about consumption. It's about putting it into action. So every day I study, sometimes even 2 times a day. If it's just 5 minutes, I just feel I need to feed my mind with something right now. I need to renew my mind. It's like some people have a second shower in the day because they just feel they want to refresh their body. This is how I feel with my mind. I'm like, no, you're going in circles right now. I just need new inspiration. I'll study. And then I reflect what I have just studied. And I'm like deciding, how can I use this today? How can I really put this into action towards what I want? I would say that has been my biggest, really, tool number one. And then journaling. Journaling, so you get really aware of what is actually going on in my mind, because 95% of the time we don't know what we think about. We are very unaware during the day. We're in this autopilot, so it just goes on, and we wonder when we go to sleep why nothing has changed. But getting your thoughts out on a piece of paper, it's just sometimes pretty scary. Because what comes with this writing, you're like, where did this come from? You're really not aware it's kind of the software that you're running in your mind. And when you get it in writing, you're like, whoa, I need to upgrade this software.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. So that's, I would say, is one of the 2 things: the morning routine, the journaling, and as well the self-image description, working really on yourself, realizing that, you are the one that you need to work on, and it needs to be daily and based on something that you want. And even that, being a victim, you actually don't know what you want. You just not know that you're not happy right now. So even figuring out what you really want, that can be a journey, as well.
Yes, absolutely. When you don't know what you want, when you don't have a vision, you don't know what you should change and what is needed. Oh, thank you for sharing these 2 tools, because I think everybody can apply them. That's amazing. Thank you.
Yeah, it doesn't cost you anything when you really think about it. And that's back to, all of the excuses, but I don't have, and I cannot. you do have time. We all have the same 24 hours every single day. It's not something we need to buy. It's given for everybody every day. So, and with all the information you can find online, I mean, there's no excuse why you cannot dedicate yourself to study something.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's true. So yeah, you have been helping women all over the world for years. Now you started with the Level Up Society, an amazing community. What, how did the transformation help you to give more impact on other women all over the world? How are you benefiting from what you learned, and how do you transfer that to all the other women?
Yeah, that's a really great question. And that's my, you know, my whole point of creating Level Up Society is that I'm so happy that I overcame a lot of this victim mentality, because it was seriously like killing me, you know, for a long period of time. I had really troubles with my eating and trouble sleeping. And it's just really, it's really, you know, so it has so much negative impact on everything, your relationship to your kids, and just really everything. So when I finally, you know, was on the other side, I was like, I want to be the one really sharing this message that anybody can change. It doesn't matter, you know, where you come from or what is your background. You don't have to be wealthy or anything. It's just applying certain principles. And I'm always very, you know, oriented towards just something concrete and something specific. I also like to dive into a lot of words, but I'm mostly about, you know, this is what you need to do. I like to just give very clear direction. So I would love to be a role model that is not too much up, you know, in the air, so to speak. I want to just be like somebody you can relate to. So that's my main goal with this, is that it's not that hard. It's not that difficult. It's actually way easier than you think. So,
Yeah.
right, you know, it's not really that hard to change. It's just you can confuse yourself by studying books after books after books. And, you know, sometimes some role models, maybe maybe it's not on purpose, but it seems so hard. It seems, you know, impossible. That's how I felt for many years. I was following so many women, and I was like, but I cannot really keep up with that. It seems they have a super, you know, everything. So I'm doing my best to make it very simple. I want just to give you every single day, daily assignments, daily ideas, level up hacks that you can put into action that anybody can really succeed with. Because I want everybody, or at least every woman, you know, every woman to get the same experience, that no matter what, you know, the circumstances, we all have the same power within. We just need to learn how to put it into action. So this is now really my biggest joy, is to see when you and the other ladies, you know, in society just, you know, with the speed of light, just changes, because you can clear away all the things that you don't need. You know, we sometimes think we need so much that we actually don't need. And even thinking about all of that makes us procrastinate, because it's just too much.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that's really like, you know, I know how it feels. I know what it took. I know my sleepless nights. Yes, I know just all the pain, but also all the joy, the excitement. I know everything, you know, that I'm teaching is based from my own experience. And that makes it in a way easy for me, because I don't have to teach a theoretical model, because even you will not be able to understand that as a new person, you know, in personal development. I'm just sharing my own journey. And yes, it's based on me putting certain principles into action that I learned. But now it's like, you don't have to sit and learn all of this. You can just apply, you know, the things that I will suggest you. So I'm like the shortcut to to leveling up. That's how I want to see myself.
Yeah, and that's what we are here for, to offer shortcuts and
The healthy ones.
healthy ones. And it's up to everybody to decide, do I want to take the shortcut, or do I want to turn another cycle? And
Yes.
yeah, and you mentioned it's about doing, taking action, everything, and you provide different options, solutions, shortcuts, but still so many women feel stuck and they want to start. And I know that feeling as well, being on a seminar on a weekend, and I say, yes, I want to change something. Yeah, I know this is now today. And then nothing happens. Or you start 1, 2, 3 days, and then the energy goes down, you get distracted and everything. So what would you suggest that these women do? How can they start?
Yes, that's a great question. And I can totally relate to what you just said. I mean, point number one is to realize that nothing changes by you doing nothing. It may seem very obvious, but still we sometimes tend to say that to ourselves. I just need to, or, you hope that time will just make things better. Nothing will be better if you don't become better. It's just how it is. Don't wait for things to become better. Just work on yourself to become better, because you are the change. So stop waiting on somebody else, or, just wishing for a new year, because a new year will bring you the same results when you do the same thing. So what I want to encourage everybody is to invest into a mentor, and not just one person, but a person who has a community. That's why I created the society, because, in a way I want to help everybody, like every day, because this is my passion. But I know that as a coach, if you just had to, pay me every single day, you'll not be able to continue to do that. And I don't even want you to be so depending on me. So what I want is like a, how can we say it, like a cooperation where, I teach something, I give you something, you start implementing it, and now you have the community to support you on your daily, day-to-day activities. So the community, it gives you really both. You have a one-on-one, like me telling you to do certain things, and then you have the community for the support, for the mirroring with other women, celebrating. For me, at least, I didn't have that, society when I did my program. I just had one person teaching me something. And I was really lacking that, because I had nobody else in my environment. I had no friends. No, not anybody wanting to even invest $1 into their personal development. So when you are that person starting to invest, you need to have somebody to support you on that journey, because if not, even you have invested, you will gain, very little in return, because it is hard work. It takes really daily effort. So it's not enough to just sign up for something. Like you said, I've been on that multiple times. Hey, Yoo-hoo webinars for a weekend. And I'm like, yes, on Wednesday, I'm already back to my, regular habits, because that's just how we're programmed. So you need every single day to be in an environment with other women, other winners that will show you, hey, I'm doing this, hey, I'm doing that. So you get inspired to keep doing the things, because there will be a long period of time. Sorry to be a, spoiler, but there will be a long period of time where you feel it's hard, nothing happens. You are getting really frustrated. You can't see the results. But when you are in an environment with other women and you constantly see somebody's making it happen, you know that it must be for you as well that this can happen. So when you see it every day, it's way easier to keep up the belief than if you just have yourself and you're constantly battling with yourself every day. If you're doing enough, if it's good enough, if you have done it long enough, you should do it a different way. And you want to ask somebody for help, but you don't know who to ask because nobody's doing the things you're doing. So you just run in cycles. But when you're in a community with women who are leveling up every day, you will become the next one. It's like, it's just like a law. It will happen. So that's the best thing if you really want to change your life. Don't just buy a program, that you can sit and read. It's not what you need. You need action.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you so much, Marianne, for sharing your mindset journey from being a victim and becoming the level up queen. Do you have last words for our listeners?
I just want to say, one thing that seems also very obvious, but to change your life, you have to change your life. Like you need to apply some changes. And you are the biggest, character in your own life. You are the most important person. You will, no matter what you do, you will be a part of it. So investing into yourself, start working with yourself, then you will see your whole life will change. That it's, just how it is inevitable, that the ripple effects of your changing, you will see that in your kids, if you have kids, in your spouse, in people around you. And then, you'll realize, hey, you know, I was actually the one initiating this, and this will give you more energy to keep going. So yeah, that would be my final remarks.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Marianne.
Okay, the very last thing I want to say is that get started today in the society. There's a reason you're watching this right now. Jump into the website, scan the code, or wherever you see this on a video and audio. Just get started. Don't procrastinate. This is why you have the results that you do have today. Get started in the Level Up Society, and I'm excited to welcome you.